You're live. All right. Welcome everyone to the meeting of the Policy Subcommittee for the Hampton-Wilbraham Regional School District. It's February 29th, 6:31 p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order. Here in attendance is myself. Cheryl, are you here?
I am here.
All right. And Bill Bontempi.
He'll be here, I'm sure.
We're expecting him hopefully soon. All right, let's rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anyone have his cell phone number? Do we
I'm
want
just
try
gonna
to
call him,
in?
yeah.
You have it?
I do.
I don't think I have his cell phone.
That's like another restaurant, thank you.
Old habits.
That's it.
Yep. Another.
Alrighty.
See if I have any, I don't know if I have enough for a tip though. I didn't bring any money. Sorry. I'll remember next time.
All right, first on the agenda is our BBBE, which, oh, that was not in the packet, but you have it here somewhere?
I thought did I not share it?
Should
Sorry.
be right on the top.
All right.
And
Let's
it
talk
was
about
woven
the,
into the front page of the document.
He's talking about the drive, he's talking about the drive. I shared it.
The
late.
drive, I
shared it
do
late in the
everything with the
drive.
drive.
So,
All right, so let's take a look at this. So this is the one that went to legal, right?
Well, it went to legal. This has, what this is saying now is actually opposed to what the legal advice was, and I'm a little confused about it, to be honest with you. So, this came up when we were discussing the regional agreement. There is conflict in language between what the regional agreement says for expired term fulfillment and what the draft policy says, and what actually the current policy says for unexpired term fulfillment. And one of the things that Sean asked is that we clarify the policy so that it's clear that the members of the school committee of the town from which the former member was elected and the member of the select board from that town are the ones included in the vote for the vacant seat. And so this language in red was added. It would be the language in red that would also be added to the regional agreement if we wanted to do that. However, what legal advice was just write your policy so that it matches your regional agreement as it exists now. Then when you change a regional agreement, you can change this policy. It's a lot, the two should match, and it's a lot easier to change a policy than it is to change the regional agreement. So the advice was just match it up to the agreement. So this language here in red is not really what's reflected in the agreement. However, I'm confused because I heard Mary Ellen say at that meeting that the regional agreement was revised explicitly to address this issue. When? I don't know. But I mean, the meeting was the meeting where we had the public feedback session on possible changes to the regional agreement.
Yeah,
But I don't know which revision she was speaking of.
the last revision to the regional agreement was in 2015, but that didn't address any of this. That addressed simply the language involving unexpired, when a term would start. So anything predates me. I would have to go back and actually look, because I don't know.
Now, does this, as it's here, currently match the current regional agreement?
If you take out the part that's in orange and just go with what's yellow, then it'll match the agreement.
All right. I mean, I think the best way forward is to follow legal advice and
Yep.
let's have the policy exactly match what's in the regional agreement.
And then you can go back and readdress the policy of the regional agreement. if
Regional
changes.
agreement when or if we're successful at getting the regional agreement
Yep.
modified, right? And we still don't even know for sure if the school committee is gonna vote to change this on the regional agreement, right? We haven't even
That's true.
voted for which, the multiple choices on the regional agreement yet, right? So,
So it's just taking that one section out.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Take the orange out.
just take the orange out, all right. All right, do I have a motion?
Get up, talk about
So moved, take the orange
Yeah, I'll
out.
do the same thing.
Hey, to approve the policy without the orange, you mean? Okay, all right,
Yes, second.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. And on we go. All right, so I'm looking now at policy EB, safety program. This is just about, a couple rewords in this one. I didn't have any questions or issues with EB. I'm thinking maybe we could, no, we shouldn't group it with the next one. Anybody have any concerns about the minor rewordings in EB?
I was looking at the, maybe I was looking at EBB, just wondering if there should be, anything that, suggests practice, safety, explicitly bus evacuation drills. Because that was, I think, a glaring error of ours.
We have a policy just for
Just for
bus
buses.
evacuation
That's-
at
goes on.
the end of the thing,
Yep, it's at the end of the packet.
which
Yeah, but
hopefully
I-
we'll get to today.
Let's fly.
Let's fly. All right, so for EB, so are you okay not talking about the buses in EB, Cheryl, knowing that we have a policy coming up that
That's
talks
the
about
cross
them?
reference, is EEA, you can see it down the bottom. He put it in for the cross references.
There we go.
Right.
Okay,
All right, do I have a motion
when
for
do you
this?
think we'll get to that?
Hopefully in
Well,
about
I don't know, it's,
30 minutes.
yeah, it's,
Tonight.
most of
It's
the.
in
So
this packet.
Tonight,
Yes,
it's
in
on,
this
it's on.
packet.
Tonight,
long
it's
as
on the
it's-
agenda for tonight.
And
As
I
long as it
apologize
gets
for
to it.
color.
Make a motion to approve EB, safety program.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye, all right, the next policy, EBB first aid, had a very long explanation for changes to it. So this one talked about the fact that, this is a lot of these changes are that we don't have a school district doctor, right?
We do.
We do, but she's not on call, she's not on call to come to
Right,
here,
but
so.
you normally would call 911
Yeah,
and
and EMS
Yeah.
would take it from there.
So, the one thing I wanted to ask John to clarify, so in extreme emergencies, the nurse, physician, principal may make arrangement for immediate transfer to the hospital of injured or ill student, contacting parent or guardian in advance, if at all possible. There is the alternative that parent or guardian could come pick them up.
We always try to do that. What this
Right.
is allowing us to do is in the event that there's a medical emergency and we can't reach a parent or guardian,
But you
we
still
can
have
still
the
take
ability
the
to
child
take
to
So,
the
it's,
hospital.
all right, I just put down there to ask to make sure it doesn't, right, so, but those are the only two pathways, right? The child gets transported by an ambulance to an appropriate hospital,
the
or a
parents.
parent guardian comes and picks them up to bring them for care,
Mhm.
or whatever they feel is appropriate.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
I think it was in this one, EBB, they had a question, do we have right now in our protocols updated records in regard to current family physician?
I don't know if we keep that. I will ask, we have real life principal here. Do we have anything about family physician and student records?
It isn't.
It is in our record.
Isn't that part of that sheet that we have to fill out
Yes.
Yes, but I wonder how many times.
for every single kid in the district? You have multiple of
It's
them.
sent
Every
out
year.
yearly.
Every
You
year.
send something
Yeah.
out to say update your students'
And
data.
it has family physician on it.
Mhm.
It is a question on the form.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
They've
I
talked
think they
about
even ask
that.
about health insurance, don't they? Trying to remember them.
That I do not remember.
Not, it's not in Redica, that's why, but I think it's on the sheet.
Okay, so, any other discussion for EBB? So
No.
everybody's okay with how it's written?
Make a motion to approve EBB.
Second.
All those in in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, so we move on to
Emergency plans.
EBC, emergency plans. So this one adds police and fire, you know, for people to consult with for making the plans. I think that's great. Okay, so number one, method for rapid communications. Do we already have that in place?
Mhm.
Or is that something that will be a cost
No, we got,
to implement? Okay, we already
We
have
have-
that in place, all right.
we have walkie-talkies and we also have, cop sync.
Yeah.
So,
Cell phones,
Yeah.
cell phones.
okay, and now, number four, direct EMS personnel to a specific location on campus. What is our method for that?
They typically would, unless they're told to respond to a different door than the main door, they go to the main entrance and then be directed by school staff.
Someone would meet them and then bring them there, okay, good.
Kind of what you do in your office.
Those are the only questions I had on that one.
I assume you crossed out in the event the possession of an AED, because we have AEDs in every building.
Mhm.
And those are serviced annually? Those are inspected annually?
There is a schedule, I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Okay. So,
Do we have to stop the bleed kits in all the buildings?
We do.
Should we add that to number 7, the location of the available AEDs and stop the bleed kits?
Well, Stop the Bleed is a discretionary item, and it's not funded by anything. So I don't know if you want to create a policy that forever binds the district to continuing that.
the CPR is, the AEDs are.
Well, as a
So, Missy,
pediatric
they-
trauma surgeon, I'm not adverse to it,
So did they?
especially knowing that we already have the kits.
Yeah, we
Okay.
do.
What is the expiration, but they were brought in by grant, right?
They were.
Okay. And what is the lifespan of the kits in terms of expiration?
I'm not sure, I know we just updated everything this summer, so items do go bad.
Cheryl and Bill, you both know what I mean by the stop the bleed kits?
Yep.
What do you think, do we want to add them to the policy? Because that, if there's not a grant to replace them, that could turn into a cost to the budget. That's what John's
We
pointing
have to
out.
know how much the cost would be. I
They're
mean,
like-
if it's thousands of dollars, or if it's
They're 60 or
$100
70
a
bucks a
school,
kit.
or
And how many kits do we have across the
Hundreds.
district?
hundreds.
We have hundreds of kits
Yeah.
across the school district, and they're 60 or 70 bucks each.
I
So,
think that's a big expense.
it could be $6,000 to $10,000 if we don't have a grant to replace them when they expire.
Because in addition to the stop the bleed and the defibrillators and everything, we also have the nurse's office. That is, you know, like a mini hospital with a nurse, so I'm not sure spending that kind of money on a stop the bleed kit.
Well, the most important part of the stop the bleed kit is the tourniquet. Do we stock tourniquets separately in the nurse's office?
I don't know.
So,
It's a good question.
I mean, that's, you know, a tourniquet that's the one thing in the stop the bleed kit that, you know, that can prevent someone from dying from a wound that does not need to be fixed to one of the extremities. All right, I guess it sounds like it's better to leave it out, but, okay.
Well, I think we should put a note on it, maybe even discuss it with the whole committee. Should we have tourniquets if we're going to not have stop the bleed kits? Tourniquets available in the nurse's office, with the nurse being the one to,
Well, we already have the stop the bleed kits.
okay.
So the question is you're just adding it to the emergency plans policy? You know, every nurse's office has everything that's in a stop the bleed kit, including tourniquets. So, you know, I don't think it would necessarily be something you can add. I think the AEDs is something that's mandated, so that's why it's in the policy.
Got it.
Well,
So,
I see what you're saying, so it's
Yeah.
normally in our medical, with
Yeah.
the medical staff
it's-
anyway.
Yeah. So, and then as far as the annually reviewing the response sequence with police and fire.
I actually asked Liz what that was referring to, and she said, just, do you have some procedure to go over it with the police and fire? And you do as part of our retreat. every summer we have a day when police and fire come and we just go through our safety plans.
Okay.
So that would cover that.
Okay.
So make a
Jen
vote.
just texted, the AEDs are checked in each school monthly.
Oh, good, okay, perfect.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Make a motion to approve EVC.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. EVCD.
EBCD has, what did you call it, a homophone change that's been
Yes.
corrected.
Yes.
So, perhaps we could group that together with EC, where there's, just a couple rewords, buildings and grounds management. Or not?
No, just separate.
Okay, all right, so.
So is that, I guess I'm not good at home, I'm not good at the,
Okay.
so
The principal is your friend, that's why it's.
principal is your
PAL.
friend, but isn't also principal, it would be the, if we're talking about a principal event?
So it's the
I don't,
principal factors, so these are like the main factors. So it's that kind of principle.
Principal event would be
Not-
like a party to say
Right.
goodbye.
so principal as an adjective, first in order of importance, main. A principal, who's your friend, is the person of the highest authority.
Mhm.
When I read it, a principal is a, principal, PLE, is,
So we could alternatively
Value.
replace principal ones with factors. Then it would just read,
whereas principal,
in
yeah.
making the decision and close the school, the superintendent will consider many factors, including the following factors relating to the fundamental concern for the safety and health of the children.
Great.
The 4 factors are there.
Got it.
All right, changing something.
Including,
Are you excited?
Exciting, riveting. I'm trying to-
how about if you just get rid of it entirely and you just put including ones relating to the fundamental concern, or including those relating to the fundamental concerns for the safety and health of the children? How about you're not using the words factors twice. So we just put including those relating to the fundamental concern for the safety and health.
Wait, so how would, including the following,
No, including those relating to the fundamental concern for the safety and health of the children. So it achieves the same thing with allowance words.
now it's,
I don't think
More
it,
vague.
I don't think it,
personally, I don't
Well
have
said.
problems with
It's-
using factors twice.
Excuse
I mean, it's not like this is a
I
college
think
essay.
principal is an important word in that sentence.
But it's a reflection of how we look at our documents. I certainly would never tell my daughter to use the word factor twice in the same sentence.
Well,
Listen,
there-
I have people, I write things in the
There is
newspaper and I
a
have,
comma between them.
I have people that, I literally have had people from this town write me letters regarding my grammar in something that has either been said or something that has been written.
So Cheryl, you were saying you think we should keep principal
With an LE, yes.
with the LE. If we can all agree that it's the appropriate grammar, I also don't object to that.
Is that okay with you?
I don't think it's the right word I don't think it's the right use of the word. Principal is usually, principal, AL, is defined as usually the first or the primary to derive order. Principle is more sort of an intent or
Yes,
a foundation.
the most
something.
important.
So I don't know.
By saying principal ones were.
I like your idea of just getting rid of the word rather than
Most
getting into a
important.
discussion about which it is. I think it would be easier just to get rid of it. If you just put, I don't know why you guys are having a problem with including those relating to the, I mean, you just have a lot less words and it accomplishes the exact same thing. You can even put, including those relating to the fundamental concern for the safety and health of the children, including weather conditions, driving, traffic.
Those, this doesn't seem quite right, I think. It's just a little vague.
How about if we get rid of including and through ones, so it's a, in making the decision to close schools, the superintendent will consider many factors relating to fundamental concerns for the safety and health of children, including.
Even
I'm
fewer
fine with
words.
that. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
Sounds good.
Make a motion to approve EBCD.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and you've got the change that John gave us?
John is writing it down.
Okay. All right, EC, Buildings and Grounds Management. Children has changed to students, he, she changed to they, and the school committee gets crossed out.
Make a motion to approve EC.
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
All right, okay, our first potential new policy for the school district. This is ECAF, security cameras in schools. And to clarify, John, we already have and use security cameras within the buildings, correct? I can remember hearing about one that's outside the door of the bathrooms that lets us keep track of who may or may not have
It's not
caused trouble
outside
in the
door of
bathroom.
It looks down the hallway.
It looks down, exactly. All right.
How do you,
Um,
how do you serious?
So, my only, I thought that this was, I think it was a great policy. My problem, my only question with this is, like, in terms of how long the video recordings are stored, you correctly pointed out that could get to be expensive in
Right.
terms of data and stuff. Do we actually want it to say a certain period of time that the data recordings will be stored? It seems to me that the rewording that you suggested, you know, the amount of time of data recordings we have stored just depends on what size hard drive we decide to buy, and if we upgrade to a bigger hard drive, then now we store them longer, and
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, the legal advice I've gotten consistently from a number of attorneys is that you don't want to hold on to those for a long time. As soon as you're sure nothing happened that you're going to have to respond to, you want to not be a custodian of that record because it could be a potential public record, which then becomes very difficult to actually release because everything on it is also a student record, which has to be blurred.
okay. All right, so, but legal seems to
So
think
most
we don't
attorneys
need.
I've talked to said like 2-3 days.
Okay,
Is there a reason why we have to put it in the, policy? How long?
Well,
period of
so if
time?
you have, let me just play the devil's advocate here. So if you have a situation that comes in where there is something that is caught on video, you may be either a teacher or a student in question, certainly would have the right to say you need to retain that video. All
Yeah,
right,
and
so
you
they
can
can make
say
a
it.
request to do it, but we're
Right.
talking about routine recordings.
Right.
so really, advice is to not have them available for more than 2 or 3 days.
Right.
Okay.
Unless you intentionally preserve it, as Bill said, because,
Uh-huh.
you know, there's a problem that came up, someone brought something to your attention, you need to preserve evidence.
If it's only gonna be a couple days, yeah, I think that having a time period on there would then become kind of a moot point. So, how long are we storing them? Do we have an idea before they're rewritten over?
There, I believe
Fire
every
system.
system is different.
And we have all different ones,
That's right.
but we want all the same ones.
That's right.
We're working on.
So the one that I'm most familiar with is at the high school, and I believe, and that also depends on how much data is recorded because of movement and stuff like that. But I believe that most of those are about 7 to 10 days at this point before it's overwritten.
Okay. And that's just how they're set up.
Right.
They start writing over what's the oldest stuff.
Correct.
It's
Okay.
automatic.
Yeah, okay. I'm okay with
Who
your
checks
suggestion on
it
that
it's
then.
working?
What's that?
So,
Who checks on it that it's working?
Those cameras are checked almost every day. I mean, for something that.
I mean, is it the
a solicitor checking.
secretarial staff? I mean, who has
Did-
responsibility of checking?
so do we
everything?
need to add the sentence you
well-
proposed or replace the sentences there?
I would replace with this, to
Okay.
answer your question, Cheryl. In most buildings, the camera system is visible from someone in the office at all times, so you can tell that it's working.
So it would be their responsibility to make sure that there's no glitch that's looping the same thing over and over again.
Correct.
Any other questions on this policy?
Yeah, so the one, actually, it was actually just something that we just talked about, and so it says access to video recordings from security cameras shall be limited to school administrators, superintendents designee, school principal designees, and the period. Law enforcement and emergency response officials shall be granted access to video recordings or the security system as the situation requires. Should there be something in there that, let's say that I am a parent and there is a potential issue that comes up, there needs to be something in this policy that says that, you know, that parents do have the right to, they do have the right to have access to these recordings. I would probably look
I
at,
don't think they have the right, Bill, because don't forget, these recordings have not just their student, but many other students.
you don't think that you don't, listen, I'm telling you right
So-
now, you right, if my child is assaulted in a school, okay, by a teacher,
Yeah.
I have a right to that video. There is video evidence of that. There is no way.
Yeah, but if
We
you
need
put
to-
in here that the parents have right to access to the videos, then
Per,
Joe Schmo from town can
per-
say, hey, I wanna see the
Wait.
security videos from.
can I finish my
Sorry.
statement? Okay. So what I was saying is that there needs to be, I think there needs to be something in the policy that says that parents and or guardians need to be able to, they need to know that they will have access to this, but they will have to go through legal or
That's what I
legal
was
channels,
gonna
which is
suggest.
why I would probably kick this back to, I'd probably kick this back to the attorneys and just say, give us some legal language on this and some legal guidance on this, because this policy does not give access to anybody except school administrators. So you could theoretically have a situation in which a teacher assaults a student, and you could have the administration cover it up right over the image, and it's gone. And the parent has no right per that policy to say they have access to it. So they should be able to say right off the bat, I'm calling this, I want any video images of this, I want it saved.
Maybe the right wording would be something like at the discretion of the superintendent or building principal.
Well, it does say the superintendent may from time to time issue further guidance that's consistent with current laws and policy.
I would have something explicitly written in there that protects the rights of, and also the teachers, we have to think about that as well, right? So you have the principal and you have the superintendent, but let's say a teacher is accused of inappropriate conduct with a student, right? Then that video evidence, they should be able to have access to that. Like, we don't want this to be, we want to be able to protect all parties in this. So, as a teacher, I would want to know that, yes, there is a mechanism built in our policy that we would be able to actually access those images.
Let's see what legal thinks.
So maybe we can ask them for a procedure to review video section, because, just so you know, our current policy
Or
is
just an
that-
opinion, they may say that, saying that law enforcement can have access may be sufficient, because pretty much any of those circumstances, law enforcement's gonna be involved.
Not
The teacher abuses a student, the student abuses a teacher.
Well, you may or may not. You may or may not. If it's not a criminal dispute, if it's a civil dispute, then you don't necessarily have a cop involved, right? So, you know, you may be looking at a situation in which they're looking for potential compensatory damages related to something that's not a criminal act. So I would say that there's myriad reasons why we would wanna at least have a protocol in place so that if there is video evidence of anything and it doesn't involve an administrator or a principal, because you can invent this scenario in which you have a teacher who is not liked by a superintendent and principal, and they could actually be accused of doing something that the video evidence exonerates them, and the principal and the administrator basically overwrite the images, and so the proof disappears.
But they are innocent until proven.
So there should be a vehicle in place where if there are potential images that would implicate or exonerate somebody, those images need to be, there needs to be a mechanism to have those preserved. There's an awful lot of responsibility that goes along with having security cameras, and if you own a building and you have security cameras on the outside of the building, you understand that your responsibilities have just increased tenfold, because you are now surveying outside of what you own and your purview, and you're surveying potentially other people's property.
All right, so we're putting this on hold for legal. All right, moving on to EEAA, walkers and riders. So, this is already a policy we have.
Yes, you can see the changes that they're suggesting.
Okay. So, are we enforcing this policy? Are there students that we are not providing bus to? Because they're within a mile and a half?
Well, I think there are some walkers within the district, and for sure there are kids who don't take the bus, we know that.
Oh, yes, lots of parents drop their kids off, yes. And some students do choose to walk, but I'm just curious, like, have there been any requests for busing? And we've said, well, yeah, no, he's, 200 yards to the school, so we're not gonna do that.
Not to my knowledge in the time I've been here.
Okay.
The more fantastic part to me, actually, the first thing I would say is I would want to make a title change, or at least add in parentheses, because we talk about walkers and riders. Quite frankly, the first thing that I was thinking about was like assistive transportation devices, like people using like some type of walker or some type of like foot scooter. But the other thing is that, I mean, this is all based on the provisions of Mass General Law. I find it absolutely remarkable that Mass General Law says that students up to 1 mile away from school are eligible, or basically are potentially walking to school. Do you know how far a mile is? Do you know why Mile Tree School is named Mile Tree? Because the huge oak tree that was in front of the school that was cut down in the 70s is exactly 1 mile from Boston Road. That's a mile.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine taking your first grader and having him walk?
Yeah, mile, it's a 20-minute walk.
Having him walk from basically Mile Tree School up to Boston Road.
Well, that's why I asked the questions to John that I did, looking at this policy, knowing we've already, so our current policy, it's 1.5 miles for everybody. Now this waters it down a bit. Kindergartners are guaranteed busing, and the younger grades, it drops down, and then for the high school kids, it gets bumped up to potentially a 40-minute walk to school. But this is from MASC and Massachusetts state policy.
Yes, except I believe this is really a municipal looking policy, and I think it's a little bit different for regionals. which is why I also included a regional example.
And because I think
Oh, yeah.
we've always had a struggle between having walkers walk any kind of distance where there's no sidewalks. And that
You can't.
precipitated, well, we did, that precipitated having walkers walk almost all the way down to Boston Road. There are still parts that are not sidewalk, but the town came in and did a very good job of extending Stony Hill, even though it was a state highway and you have to get special permission, but they got sidewalks past the middle school and then some. They did not put sidewalks on just that little strip up to the lights from Stony Hill, which is one of the most dangerous strips you can walk. Because everybody's trying to manipulate to get in and out of the school and to get into the left-hand lane, and I wouldn't put my kid on that strip.
On FinCom, there was a lot of discussion about sidewalks, like
Yes.
how every year they never get to do the sidewalks that they want to do. Because with everything else, you know, policemen, police cars, fire trucks, you know.
Well,
you
let
get-
them know they did a
The
good
sidewalks
job.
are at the end,
They did a
you
good
know.
job.
Well, we've had discussions at this committee, at the committee level for several years, that the powers that be in the state will not let sidewalks be counted under CPA, fund, grant. So you can't use CPA fundings for sidewalks, saying that it's not, you know, it has to be something for recreation, but I mean, the counter argument that has been made, which I think is an excellent argument, is that, I mean, you come down to the center of Wilbraham on any Saturday and you will literally see, you know, dozens of people walking and running on the sidewalks of this town. So, but again, the unbelievable part of this to me is, and I thank you for including the Berlin-Boylston Regional School District, their policy on it. What I find fantastic again is that, you know, it's basically just, that's a long ways. I mean, I think about how far I would walk to school when I was a kid, and I mean, I walked
miles
to school, you
uphill
know,
both ways.
quarter of a mile. I mean, you think about some of, and I was in a municipal district, right? So I mean, you're walking by gas stations and shopping centers and restaurants. I mean, you get a kid, I mean, from a mile from Mile Tree, I mean, you may have a kid from Ridge Road that has to walk down Munson Road to get to Mile Tree, and that's within a mile.
And there's no sidewalk there.
There's no sidewalk, and it's a
But there's
mile.
water drains.
Right. So,
Now, so John, by the municipal part of it, that what you're talking about is like this first sentence, where it's talking about at the expense of the public schools, because we're a regional school district that's supposed to be funded by the state.
No, just that our obligation to transport is more stringent than the obligation of the municipal district.
Oh, it is?
Yes. For example, you have to provide seats for all of the students. You know, in a municipal district, you can say, okay, I've got so
My
many buses
ridership
that
is
are empty,
this,
so I'm gonna cut my buses.
right. Which is, but it's based off of your chapter 71, right? So
I didn't see in the
municipal
Boylston
districts.
thing saying we have to provide seats for all the students.
No, it doesn't.
It's-
It doesn't.
that's,
Okay, I didn't miss it, okay.
no, that's what chapter 71 says. So chapter 71 in
Yeah.
Massachusetts general law
Yeah.
says that if you accept funds through the chapter 71 program, you are required to provide buses for all students. This is the policy that basically says, okay, we don't necessarily have to provide ridership for somebody if they live, you know, 200 yards from the school. We don't have to provide a bus seat for them. But I think we've run into this before where, you know, it's kind of hard because kids are jumping around from school to school to school, which is one of the reasons why there's so much possibility in being able to cut your transportation costs in this district by doing neighborhood schools, because now you have basically groups of kids who will be traveling to the same school every day for a number of years. So you're not moving them from Mile Tree to Stony Hill, to Wilbraham Middle, so you,
I think it was pretty clear after a public forum, the concept of neighborhood schools is dead.
yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you
I mean, the
that.
public in the towns was adamantly against it, among other things, which is
Well,
off
I think
topic
there's,
from
I
what we're
think,
doing
well,
here,
yeah,
but-
well, I think there's, I don't think I think there was a lot of people who came out, but I think there's a lot of people behind the scenes that I've talked to who, like I said, I mean, they support it, and they're very adamant about it, but they just, you know, you're always gonna get the opponents to change, right? You're moving somebody's cheese. We can't talk about, this is completely different, but off topic.
So, all right, so all right, so John, what you're saying is that this policy, EEAA, is really way too lenient for us, and there shouldn't be any of these distances. You know, you gave us the Boylston policy, I mean, you think we should plug our school district into this one and use this one?
I think that probably would be better than going with the MASC model on this case,
Okay, now,
Just a
I would
second, can you just
advocate,
ask him why?
because this one is specifically for a regional district, and I think the MASC model policy was written sort of to the norm, which is municipal districts.
I would like to, though, change the one sentence where it says, no bus student will be required to walk more than 1 mile to the nearest bus stop. I think we could put a shorter distance than a mile in there. I mean, we got the buses going around town. I mean, I don't think it needs to be 10 feet, but, you know, I mean, I don't know, 500 yards, quarter mile, you know. I mean, I don't think that we have any kids walking anywhere near that distance right now.
Would you like me to check with the bus company and see what kind of the standard practice is right now?
I like that.
Okay.
The truth is in the details. So, for a reasonable distance to put in there for kind of our town. But I mean, as Bill pointed out, I mean, you know, to walk from Boston Road to Mile Tree to get to your bus stop,
Yeah.
I think as a policy committee, we can do better for the kids.
well, I don't think we've ever, I don't think in the time that I've been on the school committee, I don't think we've ever had a situation where, you know, parents were complaining because their kid, I mean, if
No, they
kids
do.
wanna ride the bus, they're gonna ride the bus. right?
Yes.
You know,
I-
and it's just, the bigger problem is we don't have that many kids riding the bus, and so we end up with traffic jams at every school. And again, the bigger reason behind this is because because we don't have neighborhood schools, parents with multiple children are driving to multiple schools every day. And so they're literally like, okay, well, if I gotta bring one to this school, I might as well just load up the others and drop them off as well. And then the same thing with pickup. So I mean, and I hear people all the time, you know, oh, it's a waste. You know, you see half empty school buses or empty school buses driving out of the school parking lots. We do, but that's the system that we have set up is basically the wizards of smart in the state legislature wrote a law that basically says we have to waste money. And every year we do. We throw away tens of thousands of dollars on empty school buses, driving them around, and basically just getting a nice tour of Wilbraham every day when you've got 6 kids on a bus.
Yes, but the state gives us most of the money for those buses.
Actually, for regular ed, but if you look at our transportation budget, it's, our transportation budget it far exceeds what we get in chapter 71-8. If you know the budget, you'll know that our chapter 71-8 is probably 40% of what our transportation budget is. There's so much unreimbursed transportation.
There's special education transportation is separate. That does come through circuit breaker if the student hits the circuit breaker. But it is correct that general ed transportation is only one piece of the pie.
And you've also got your McKinney-Vento piece in there, which is
Yeah.
strictly not reimbursed. And that can run into, we got a couple of years ago, we were running into, I mean, we were transporting a kid from here to Winchendon every day. So, there's definitely some changes that can be made. So we're just gonna table that one for now?
you're gonna bring it back to us
Yep.
with a reasonable distance on that?
Yep.
And have it rewritten with HWRSD in it? Okay, cool. All
I'll
right,
bet you they're gonna come back with a half a mile.
Okay.
I was thinking
Half mile is
quarter
the
mile,
over
half
under.
mile.
What's that?
Half mile is the over-under.
Yeah, half mile's the over under, that is.
Yeah,
All right.
I'd be shocked if we have any students walking more than quarter of a mile right now. All right.
School bus safety program?
School Bus Safety Program, EEAE. All right, oh, this is the one, Cheryl,
Yep,
this is school bus. Right, you wanted the policy, so number 2 here, emergency evacuation drills will be conducted at least twice a year to acquaint student riders with procedures in emergency situations. Is that what we're currently doing, or are we currently doing more?
Currently doing 2 year.
We're currently doing
Almost
2 a
there.
year. Does anyone think that we should be doing it more than twice a year? Okay.
not sure. It depends on the drivers.
Wait,
It does.
what?
We have some drivers who can't smell smoke at their knees.
We did make a change in practice. I don't think it requires us to do it more than twice a year, but one of the changes we made this spring as a result of the fire was allowing students in 4th grade and up to actually operate the mechanism of the door. Prior versions of the drill where someone opened the door and then everyone practiced jumping off the back of the bus. But based on some feedback we got from students who were involved in that incident, we now allow students to operate it if they want to see how it works and what it feels like. So I think that's the change, more so than doing it more than twice a year.
Okay.
I think too that if we stay with current configuration, because kindergarten and 1st and 2nd grade, even up to 3rd grade, I think needs an adult to help them down off the back of the bus.
That's right.
Is there, this is hard to, I don't know, so is there anyone want to ask for anything to be added to this policy?
Nope. I like it.
No.
Kinda short, and sweet.
And
But
so,
it mandates that we have,
so
we have
it-
emergency drills twice a year. And this is just for the students that are riding the bus. This is not about mechanical safety.
That's right, but just to clarify, it's not
all
just for
vehicles
students.
used to transport children will be inspected periodically for conformance with state and federal safety requirements.
That's right, but to speak to the drills are not just for students
students,
who
it's
ride
for
the
the-
bus, it's for all students.
Right.
Because they could go on a field trip, they could go on a sporting event,
Right.
whatever.
Yes.
And the protocol is the bus, like the captain of the ship, the bus driver's the last off the bus, and he makes sure it's empty on his way out.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I mean,
I have a motion to approve EEA.
And a second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. All right, something that could be a potentially new policy for our school district, EEAEB, drug and alcohol testing for school bus and commercial vehicle drivers. I certainly don't have issues with this, I do have questions. What is the current LPVEC policy now? Does this policy, when it's in place, will this become our responsibility, or are we somehow trying to leverage LPVEC to do this?
It-
Those
in- In my opinion, it's just a duplicate policy, because this is enforced by the Department of Transportation. There's random drug testing that all bus drivers have to go through. You've heard Mr. Morton talk about that in some of his times he's been with the school committee. So basically, it's saying, essentially, we're not gonna allow unlicensed drivers.
So this is in accordance with what the collaborative is already doing
And the
as
state
per
is
department, and as mandated by the Department of
Correct.
Transportation. So this is adding the policy to our books for completeness sake and,
Correct.
okay.
Make a motion to approve EEAEB.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's amazing, the biggest change ones are the easiest to get past. All right, all right, so EEAEC, student conduct on school buses. The word guardians was added. I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable. You're supposed to behave on the bus. Riding the bus is a privilege. If you don't behave, you can get kicked off the bus.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the identical policies, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve EEAEC.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, EEAJ, motor vehicle idling on school grounds. I thought this was interesting.
I was confused.
Because the only thing that's exempted is the only time that everyone idles.
Oh, picking up, you mean?
Yes.
Pick up line, yeah.
Well, I mean, I wrote here, do we really follow this? I haven't written, you can see.
Yeah, yeah.
No, we
well,
don't.
My first question was, do we have the signs? I did clarify that we do have the signs.
Where is our sign? It's written right here.
Yeah. But we do follow it because if you notice, the only time when the no idling rule is not in effect is when you're dropping off or picking up.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, if this car was to come by in the middle of the day and park in front of the school and just run their engine, then it would be the responsibility of someone to say, turn
You
that
can't
off.
do that. Either turn off your engine or move.
Right.
Right.
And perhaps call the police to inquire as to why there's some strange guy in a car sitting parked in the school parking lot running their engine.
Well, I wasn't assuming it was a strange person. I was assuming it could be an employee or a parent.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, hopefully. Okay. All right, so, all right, and so, all right, so you only made, there's only paragraph formatting changes here, so I have no issues with this.
So, do we have that signage?
We do.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve EEAJ.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
The penalties, do we get the penalties?
Nope. Goes to the town.
Because they're the only ones, they're the only ones that have the authority to
But
levy
the
a
town-
Some of the seniors.
But the
hot
town
rod all
pays the school
cars.
assessment, so
Wow.
eventually we get some part of it.
All right.
The town pays the school assessment, so we'll get 60%. All right, this policy is completely revised to align with Massachusetts Universal Free Meals Program. I read through it, I thought it was well reworded in that it specifically states for the program, so if the program disappears, we won't, you know what I mean, we don't have to follow, you know, this policy kind of falls away and doesn't force us to keep paying for the meals without a funding line.
Mhm.
That was my only concern.
Yeah.
So, but I think the way that it's been rewritten, we're good in that regard. And hopefully the program never goes away, because it's a great program.
Make a motion to approve EFC.
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye, okay. All right, ooh, wow, we're doing good. Okay. All right, this could potentially be a new policy for our school district, EHAA, District Security Relating to Technology. I have to tell you, on the hospital side of things, this is big dollars. So my question is, with regards to this policy, which I think is an important policy, what do we do now? Will we be in compliance with it with what we do now? If not, do we know what it would cost to then become in compliance?
Well, it says, I think reasonable or adequate or something like that.
It's vague, yes.
So what we do is essentially try to have what's known as the walled garden system. So most of the stuff within the district sits within the shell of Google. So we're able to provide security through a centrally managed Google system that creates as much security as possible for the main users. We do have other systems that are not within that garden. That's protected by having, first of all, limited access and, you know, having protocols for removing employees once they are no longer with the district. That'd be the most thing, because students would not have access to types of sensitive databases. We also have some protocols given to us by the state for some of the information systems we have, like EPIMS, which is personnel, and SIF, which is student information. So it has to meet the security protocols of the state.
Okay.
SIF, do we still have Swiss?
We do have Swiss.
Okay, so we believe we would be in policy, we're already in compliance with this policy,
Correct.
even though it's not on the books yet.
Correct.
Let's see, make a motion to approve EHAA.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. This is the last one, right? EHB, data and records retention. Insert job title here.
Was it good that?
X.
No, I wrote that when I circled the big X.
Ah. That should say the assistant superintendent.
This is where everybody in the room goes, not it.
No,
The person who's not here is it.
yeah.
There you go.
It's Aaron's job, we'll put his title in there.
Why not?
No, it really is, he's the record access officer.
Okay, all right, very good.
So assistants.
All right, so we're gonna put his title, not his
Right.
name. So the
Do we-
policy doesn't have to be changed.
Can I ask a question? Can we, records access officer is actually a title. At one point, we did have other people that were the records access officer. Should we put records access officer as being the contact person rather than the assistant superintendent? Because we run into a time in the future where we have, let's say, at one point, we didn't have an assistant superintendent, we had a superintendent, and we had a director of curriculum, and we had a director of special education, and director of finance. So I think if we put records access officer, then it will cover us, because all we need to do is just appoint a records access officer.
Oh, yeah.
There will always be one, so that it doesn't link that to a particular position.
And he officially has that title?
Yep.
He does. I'm,
Because at one
Yeah, I agree
point,
with
Kate
that.
was
It was
the,
Kate,
yeah,
yeah.
Kate was the records access officer, so I would put that down.
and it says on our website who the records access officer is, so
Even a
somebody.
link to request records.
Excellent, all right. And I would agree with your edit that it should be addresses plural.
On this one, how about if the last edit, I wrote, the district shall appoint a record access officer who shall serve as the custodian of records, or custodian of public records.
Yes.
Okay. You said the district or the superintendent?
Is it district? The superintendent.
Same thing.
Not really, but,
Probably should be superintendent
okay.
then. So it doesn't turn into something for the school committee to vote on.
Good point.
Otherwise, we'd have to have a policy to do it.
Exactly! I'm learning.
Did we approve that?
Approve to, or motion to approve, EHB, EHB.
Data and record
With the
retention.
discussed
With the
changes.
discussed changes, yeah.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we'll bring those changes back next time for second reading. Motion to adjourn, actually, you want to do set up for another meeting?
We need to pick another meeting date.
And the good news is there are no F changes, so we'll be on G.
Okay, now do we know what date has the finance subcommittee
It looks like.
come
it-
together on a day time yet?
Yes, it looks like 5 o'clock on that March 7th, which is our next school committee, 5 o'clock
Okay,
on Thursday.
5 o'clock on Thursday, okay, so, do we wanna do it on the off Thursday, Thursday the 14th? Do we need to meet again that soon, or,
That's gonna be interviews,
Oh.
semifinalist interviews for the
all right?
Director of People Services.
Let's see. So finance and operations is not gonna be meeting on the 18th now? Is that correct?
I don't
Oh,
know,
but that's also an interview date?
not the 18th,
Not the
nope,
18th, the 14th.
nope, the 14th, so I don't believe they would
And the
be,
13th as well.
I don't think they'd be meeting, Mike, just because we'll be doing this, the 7.
Feelings about Monday, March 18th?
Looks okay to me.
I like Mondays.
All right, 6 o'clock, 6:30, what works best for people?
Let's do, I don't mind doing 6, I got enough notice. If there's anything, I'll change it, but I think that's fine.
Okay,
Which, March what?
18th,
March 18th, Monday, the 18th?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
here.
Here in the district.
Here.
office, yeah.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second? All's in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.